come.
And you really wax poetically about that point, about people's humanity, not only your own humanity, the people that you serve with, but even when you've served in war, their humanity. A couple things I wanted to unpack on because we're talking about character, we're talking about emotion. When you look at US history, has the United States in your mind responded to crisis emotionally or stoically and calmly?
I think emotionally in almost every case. If you look at the beginning of the U.S. Civil War, if you look at the Spanish-American War, the destruction of the Maine, you look at the sinking of the Lusitania, and then the Zimmerman telegram that brought us into the First World War. But that's natural. I mean, we shouldn't be shocked. We shouldn't even be embarrassed by that. What we
But why haven't we've learned our lesson though by that? You're clearly laying out the patterns here.
Right. Every generation has to learn their lesson again. We read history, but we make many of the same mistakes. If you think the internment of Japanese Americans in World War II, and then the Patriot Act after 9/11, I would say they rhyme. And so this idea that emotion is large. When I taught my course at Yale to freshmen, I used to do one session on the 9/11 attacks. And they were young enough when it happened that they didn't have the feel for the moment.
Sure.
But I had them watch the videos and listen to the 911 calls so that they would understand just how viscerally emotional that was. And when that happens, when in their life, when something equivalent happens, they are going to be equally emotional.
Yeah.
And they will want to do something.
I remember being in high school at that time, the two emotions that people felt, I could feel it in the air: fear and anger.
Correct.
We have to do something about this. And I remember George Bush said it very clearly. Number one, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. And number two, we can't let the terrorists win. And then for some reason, at some point, we had to go buy trucks because that helped America. So I had to go to Toyotathon.
Yeah, I mean,
even though those cars were made in Japan.
Yeah, I don't think that was very well thought out, but it should be instructive, because the instructive part is not what happened on 9/11. There were mistakes made that allowed 9/11 to happen. But what we did afterward, there were a number of mistakes made, but they weren't made with bad intentions. They were made by good people with good intentions, working hard. That should be what we pay attention to. Because if we look and we say George W. Bush was the guy who was wrong, we'll blame him. We were all part of that. And so we've got to understand that dynamic is repeatable. And so when that comes again next time, will we be a little bit wiser, or we will at least recognize that that dynamic is growing?
I mean, what scares me the most, General, is I don't think we'll learn that lesson. And one of my favorite artists has this great quote: history repeats itself and then deletes itself. That's one of my favorite